He was a teacher for 16 years. He loved what he did. He coached football. He mentored students. He was, by every measure, one of the best educators in his district. Then he found something in the school's financial records that he was never supposed to see. $12 million. Gone. When Robert Valdez brought it to light, the people in charge didn't thank him. They destroyed him. But a Texas jury saw through all of it. $1.9 million. This is a true American story. Robert Valdez grew up in a small neighborhood on the east side of Austin, Texas. His parents had immigrated from Mexico. His father worked in landscaping. His mother cleaned houses. They pushed their son to excel in everything he did. Robert graduated from Texas State University and got his teaching certificate at 22. By 26, he was teaching AP history at Riverside Academy, one of the largest public high schools in the Austin area. Over the next 16 years, Robert built a reputation. He was named Teacher of the Year 3 times. He coached the football team to back-to-back regional championships. He started a mentorship program that helped over 200 students earn college scholarships. His salary was $88,000 a year. It wasn't glamorous, but Robert didn't do it for the money. He did it because he believed in those kids. Riverside Academy was one of the most respected schools in the district. The superintendent, a woman named Ellison, had been running things for 8 years. She was well known, spoke at conferences, and appeared on local news. The public trusted her, but behind closed doors, the numbers didn't add up. In January of 2022, Robert was asked to serve on the district's annual budget review committee, a routine role for department chairs. His job was simple: review the fund allocations for his department and flag any discrepancies. What Robert found was not a discrepancy, it was a pattern. For 3 weeks, Robert spent his evenings digging through budget reports. He began to notice something that didn't make sense. Funds that were designated for student programs, tutoring, athletic equipment, school renovations were being quietly and systematically redirected. He cross-referenced the reports with public records, checking invoices against vendor contracts, and the more he looked, the bigger the number became. $12 million, over 5 years, diverted from student programs and funneled into shell companies. Companies that, when Robert traced them, led back to individuals connected directly to Superintendent Ellison. Robert sat with this information for 2 weeks. He couldn't sleep. He barely ate. He knew what he had found, and he knew what it would cost him to go public. But he thought about his students. He thought about the kids in his mentorship program who didn't have computers, didn't have updated textbooks, didn't have the resources they deserved. He thought about where that $12 million was supposed to go. On February 14, 2022, Robert walked into the superintendent's office and placed a folder on her desk. Inside was every piece of evidence he had collected. Ellison opened the folder. She read through the first few pages, and then she looked up at Robert with an expression he would never forget. She didn't panic. She didn't deny it. She simply said, "You have no idea what you've just done." Robert left that office knowing his life at Riverside Academy was over. Over the next 30 days, his world collapsed. His teaching evaluations, consistently excellent for 16 years, were suddenly revised downward. His coaching duties were reassigned. He was removed from the budget committee. Other teachers in the hallway stopped talking to him. On March 28th, Robert was called into a meeting with Auer. They told him his contract would not be renewed. The reason listed on the official paperwork was one word: performance. 16 years of exemplary service, 3 Teacher of the Year awards, 2 regional championships, and they ended it with one word. Robert drove home that night in silence. He sat in his driveway for 40 minutes before going inside. The next morning, he called an attorney. Robert's attorney, Sarah Tran, had spent 20 years handling whistleblower cases. When Robert showed her the evidence, she told him something that surprised him. She said, "Robert, this isn't just your case. This is the district's case. This is the public's case." On April 15th, the lawsuit was filed, Robert Valdez versus the Riverside Independent School District and Catherine Ellison. But Robert didn't stop there. He also reported the financial fraud to the Texas Attorney General's office. What happened next moved at a speed that shocked everyone. The Attorney General's office launched a full investigation. Within 6 months, they confirmed everything Robert had found. $12 million had been systematically diverted. Shell companies were identified. Payments were traced. The evidence was overwhelming. Catherine Ellison was placed on administrative leave within weeks of the investigation going public. But Robert's retaliation case went to trial. In an Austin County court in January of 2024, the jury heard the full story. They heard about his 16 years of service, the evidence he collected, the folder he placed on the superintendent's desk, and then they heard from the district's own employees. A former HR coordinator testified that she had been instructed directly by Ellison to begin building a negative file on Robert the day after he brought her the evidence. Another teacher testified that Ellison had called a private meeting and told staff that Robert was trying to cause problems and that anyone who spoke to him about the budget would face consequences. The defense argued that Robert's contract wasn't renewed due to a legitimate performance review, but the jury saw the 16 years of glowing evaluations. They saw the 3 Teacher of the Year awards. They saw the timeline, the retaliation beginning just days after Robert's report. The courtroom was packed with parents and reporters. The jury deliberated for less than a single day. On February 2nd, 2024, the verdict was delivered. We find in favor of the plaintiff on all counts. The damages were announced. Back pay and lost wages, $340,000. Emotional distress and reputational harm, $460,000. Punitive damages against the school district, $800,000. And punitive damages against Catherine Ellison personally, $300,000. Total, $1.9 million. The courtroom erupted. Parents stood and applauded. Robert just sat in his chair, hands folded, eyes closed. So where are they now? Catherine Ellison was formally terminated and later indicted on charges of fraud and embezzlement. Her criminal case is still pending. The school district paid a total of $4.2 million in settlements and legal fees, money that, in a painful irony, came from the same public funds meant to serve students. The district hired an independent oversight board to monitor all finances for the next 10 years. And Robert Valdez, he was offered his job back. He declined. Today, he works with a nonprofit that advocates for transparency in public school finances across Texas. He trains other teachers on how to identify financial irregularities and how to protect themselves when they report them. He still coaches, just not at Riverside. Robert Valdez didn't uncover $12 million in fraud because it was his job. It wasn't. He did it because he looked at those kids and asked himself a simple question. Where is the money that he's supposed to help them? That question cost him everything he had built over 16 years. But it gave thousands of students a chance at something better. Whistleblowers are not troublemakers. They are the reason the system works at all. Justice has a pulse. Subscribe to Story Pulse Pro for real American stories every Wednesday and Saturday. And tell me in the comments, would you have spoken up?